Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cafecito Wednesday. I am your host, Lizette Ibarra, and I am thrilled to be here with my amazing friend, Monica Diaz. Monica, so happy to have you here. You're muted. There
There you go. Ahora.
you go. Now we can hear you.
Likewise, Lizette. It's always a pleasure to be speaking with you. So we're ready to rumble.
Ready to rumble. Listen, everyone, we had a lot of expectations about these conversations because when you have someone like Monica in front of you, like she's had this amazing career, she's worked for Fortune 500 companies. You saw her at Royal Caribbean and at Disney, and you see her and you see, man, she's had everything. She's had it all, right? But today we are here not to sugarcoat leadership because leadership and success is, of course, beautiful and we all strive to achieve that. But there's so many aspects of leadership that are, again, sugar coated. So this conversation is about the other side of leadership, what they don't tell you about leadership, and it's failure, the fire, and the fearlessness that accompanies leadership. So before we begin, let me just remind you all that we are incredibly excited at United Latinas because we are going to have our fifth Women's Month conference, this time in person. That is super exciting because we're going to be in Boston in March 28th. So make sure you visit our webpage and take advantage of the early bird registration because that's only going to be available until January 31st. So with that being said, let's just dive into the conversation. So again, Monica, we're going to talk about a lot of things that they don't tell us about leadership. So can you tell me, if you had to credit one failure for your biggest success today, because I'm guessing you had many failures to get you to the success you have today, what would it be and what did it teach you about taking risks?
So this is an important question because it is hard to talk about failure. We
Yep.
don't even want to mention failure with that word. But in
We're ashamed.
reality, yes, it's not a good sentiment.
Yeah.
But when I hear that question, there's one thing that immediately comes to mind that I completely interpreted as a failure at that time, and it was my divorce.
Oh, wow.
Personally, yes. I'm happily married again for 27 years, but my first marriage ended in a divorce, and I completely uh, internalized it as a failure, personal failure in many ways. And one of the, I'm not the only one. Many women experience that. You feel that your world is crumbling, that you were supposed to be married for whatever, as long as you live, particularly when you do it in a very religious way, which was my
Yes.
situation, ¿verdad? Muy católica y toda la cosa.
Yeah.
So it was hard to process that failure. But what that failure gave me, what it really taught me about risk is that the first thing that I perceived as a risk was financial risk.
Oh,
You
wow.
see, the person who really managed the finances and early investments at that time, this was early in my life and career, was my husband. So when we divorced, I had no idea of how to continue, like working on my financial wealth for the future. I only knew that I had a 401k, and that was about it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I learned out of that experience was to make sure that I never, ever again delegated the power of my financial well being. Never, ever again. So what I did as a result of that is I enrolled because I was freaking out, not
Yeah.
understanding, podría comprar algo, like if I want to buy a property, how do I even go about that? Will I have the money for now for my retirement? So what I did is like I enlisted in a Sunday class of financials, understanding your financials. When people were going to the beach, I was going to my financial understanding classes
Wow.
that lasted like 6 months. The best thing that came out of my
Good.
divorce. was my understanding of how to manage my own finances. So that was a risk that I perceived at the time that turned out to be one of the best learnings of my life. The second one was a risk and a failure that I avoided. So that one, the divorce, I lived through it. The other one was the one that I avoided when professionally people started to say, on your performance reviews that you had an opportunities to do better on communication, that you needed to improve your communication skills. But it was hard to understand what that even meant because I said, like, is it my writing? Is it my speaking? Is it my translation? What is it? Because I can speak two languages at the time. I can speak three now, but nobody could pinpoint what that meant. So I avoided the failure of what that represented by doing something very, very helpful. Became a true opportunity was to get an executive, a leadership, a career coach, which inspired me to do what I do today. But I couldn't translate what that meant for years and years and years. So that was a failure avoided. And what I learned of that is nobody can do this alone. We all
Of
need
course.
support. And having a
Yes.
coach that could understand me culturally, personally, was a game changer. So those are the two failures that come to mind. One that it was true, the other one avoided.
I love that, Monica. And let me stop here and break it down a little bit because it's so important. Like I'm surprised when we were talking about failure that you brought up the divorce thing because that's another thing that we keep on a completely separate environment, like our personal life and our professional life. And what happens in our personal life can transpire big time into our professional life. So listening to you, how you used this experience, bitter experience with your divorce, and how that taught you a lesson that eventually helped you both in your professional life and both in your personal life. It is huge. And also I love it that you bring it to the table because we're not used to sharing all these personal experiences that often. So thank you for that. And the other one, you are absolutely right. Like I think this is I don't know if it's a women's thing or a Latina thing that we think we can do everything alone, right?
Yes,
Like yeah, and we talk about superpowers, and we talk about that we can do it all and have it all. Yes, but not alone. And sometimes just
absolutely.
having the company of an executive coach like you, and you are an amazing executive coach now to younger entrepreneurs and other successful leaders, or possibly a mentor or a sponsor. Those are easy ways to not to feel alone in your struggles and to gain clarity on your career, right? So thank you for sharing the importance of when you see someone successful, they didn't get there alone. They
Yes.
probably had the support of somebody else. So that's something
Hmm.
to remind.
Hmm.
Awesome. So next thing, tell me, what is a cultural value you were told to tone down? Hey, listen, I know a lot of you are, already connected to this. What was a cultural value that you were told to tone down, that you've now turned into a superpower? Talking about superpowers, because we've
Sure,
been told that
sure.
a lot, many of us.
Yes. And well, I will tell you, I started my career in the Caribbean, right? I am originally from Puerto Rico. So when I was amongst people within my culture, I didn't really perceive that I needed to tone down anything, that it was major for me, because I was surrounded by people like me. But the power of understanding differences is understanding the differences of others as much as we want our own differences to be understood, was when I moved from Puerto Rico to New Jersey for the first time. I went to work at the headquarters of my company, and I immediately started feeling what were the things that didn't really fit. I came in with, like blazers, very nice ones, pero they were like turquoise, coral color. So clearly, the color of my wardrobe was the first thing that everybody was dressed in black and gray or blue, brown at best. So immediately I started seeing, it was absolutely visible, the things that were expected to be toned down. Some people didn't really tell me because they thought it was politically incorrect to tell me that.
Mhm.
But did I get many like quiet messages?
Like
One,
what? How did they look
yeah.
like? Like,
So
eyebrows? Oh,
yeah, no, I mean,
that's
I decided
powerful.
because I noticed that people were giving me some kind of a glance that was odd, and I started doing my own social experiment just to have fun because I felt fearful of even asking.
Right.
So I did my own social experiment, and in a very important meeting that I was attending, I decided to completely change my demeanor. First, I dressed with a pencil skirt that was gray and a black top. I remember it to this day. I decided that I was going to hold my hands like this instead of letting my hands take a life on their own in front of my face. And I also decided that I would slow down my speech so I could work better on the intonation of the language para que no se me notara quizá tanto el acento. So I did those three things, and I remember as if it was today. And although nobody told me to do that, I decided to do this social experiment. A ver qué pasa, to see what
Yeah.
reactions would I get. And my boss at the time, as I finished my presentation, said to me, "Wow, Monica, this is the most professional presentation I've ever seen you give."
Wow.
Wow, okay. What changed? Because the content, I knew the content, so that was not
Right.
changing.
Right.
And I asked, what
Yeah.
what exactly gave you that impression? And he danced around the whole thing. He didn't say the thing,
He
but
didn't
I,
say it. Yeah.
Ana, pero a buen entendedor, o sea, the way he was
Right.
dancing around the answer gave me
Right.
the answer. So as a result of that, I had to make a decision when and if I wanted to tone it down every time for every presentation because that was exhausting. I felt that I was holding back
Right. Right.
myself. I could do it. It was my social experiment. Nobody knew I was doing it intentionally,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Wow.
wanted to experiment with that.
Right.
So that gave me the power of decision, the power of choice. If I
Right.
wanted to flex in that way, I would know that it was my choice. Because for the most part, I chose opposite. I chose my language with my accent. I chose my color and expression. I wear bright colors because it's me. It's
Yeah.
vibrant. It's who I
Yeah.
am. I chose my language with an accent. I chose my color of my wardrobe. And I chose my expression because
Mm-hmm.
honestly, if you tie my hands, it's very hard to talk.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a choice that I had to make. And the way I navigated that change was to let me explain it to people. Let me
Yeah.
just express who I am and wow, and what is going to be the benefit that it gives them. And people now respect that. They see it as a
Wow.
kind of authenticity and
Yeah.
boldness that they appreciate on a leader.
Oh wow, that's truly inspiring. And how long ago was this, Monica? This was this early in your career, or because I'm trying to understand what your perspective is today, like
This
for
was
many of our
20
listeners.
years ago. 20
Exactly.
years ago.
Yeah, and you know your story reminds me of many stories of myself as well. You know, when I've been told that I have a lot of energy, and when it's really difficult sometimes to contain that energy. And I think that it reminds us, to many of us, sometimes with our accent we feel insecure. So fast forward 20 years till today, how do you what advice would you give to our listeners if they're struggling with this, that they show up too much, they get dressed in bright colors, or they struggle with the
hmm
accent? What
hmm
would your advice be today?
Well, first of all, although that event happened 20
Mhm.
years ago, I've heard stories and stories and stories of people as recent as 2 weeks ago that is still happening to them. To younger professionals, to people who are in their mid career, to people who relocate to take great opportunities with their companies. I was not sure if I was a bit dated with that experience, so I had to validate it. And I started asking the question, and I heard stories and stories. So first of all, it's still unfortunately a reality.
Yeah.
What has been different is the learning that is behind it.
Yeah.
Before we would hear, like 20 years ago, not many people will tell you, hey, affirm who you are, feel proud of who you are. No, it was no, yeah, tone it down. If you really want to grow in this company,
Between
go
the
ahead and
lines,
tone
yeah.
it down. So,
Right.
so what is an advantage right now is that there is greater understanding and affirmation of who people are. And on a day like this, where we are seeing the news about probably less of an inclination of understanding differences or establishing structures in government or in companies to manage these affirmations, it is more important than ever not to lose the ground of basically who we are. So that is the advice. Let's
Right.
not lose who we are in the process because
Yeah.
our lives are longer than a
Yeah.
policy.
So,
Our values, our identity is stronger than
right.
than anything else.
That's very powerful, Monica. Thank you for that reminder. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic. And we're going to talk about radical decisions. And we have all faced them. So, can you tell us what has been the most radical decision you've made in your career or your business? And how did you silence the voices that told you that it was impossible? Because I'm pretty sure we have all heard these voices. Like we have big dreams, we have big projects, and there's a little voice that makes you doubt. So, what has been the most radical decision in that regard?
Yes. So, two moments in time come to mind. One was probably around 15 years ago. The other one happened 3 years ago. The first one is when I moved from a career in human resources to build a career path in an area of specialty that like was diversity. And forget about the other two letters or more letters than we talk about today. It was not popular. It was not a popular thing to do. It was seen as risky. It was touted as, hey, if you want to do that, go ahead, but you might stifle your opportunities to continue progressing in this company or in the human resources function. So it was seen as a real threat. And the fact that I decided, no, this is something that I want to do and I want to do it now, was seen as a radical decision that was not popular, honestly. I had many people just tell me flat to my face, is like, are you sure?
What are you
Have you
doing?
thought
Right.
about this through? So it was seen as radical because I was in a career path that was clear. I was to, on the path of becoming like the HR head for a foreign country and stuff like that. And I decided to do this. Uh, so the radical decision was to move, to completely shift my career path. And part of what helped me do that was to make sure that I really had to go inside. I heard the voices outside of. It's always important to get different perspectives and advice. You don't want to shut it down, but I
Of
had to
course.
take that as a data point and add it to the data point of my own introspection. And it was important to ask myself one question: why do I want to do this? Why? What is the real reason I want to do this? And if I decide not to, then I have to quiet that voice inside of me.
Yeah.
Which is the one that I want to quiet? The voice outside or my voice inside? And that was not easy, but I chose to go with the one inside. And even to this day, I don't regret it.
That's beautiful, Monica. And for those of you who, let me just interrupt right here. Monica is an icon in the D&I space. As she's saying, diversity, equity, and inclusion wasn't even a thing back then. So if you want to talk to someone that has seen the progression of this beautiful field, Monica is your to-go person. So thank you, Monica, for that. And you were gonna share the other one.
Yes,
Yeah,
and the other one, you talk about progression.
yeah.
It was 4 years ago. I decided that I would move from a corporate role in human resources and DEI to become my own boss, to become an
That's
entrepreneur. And that's how I met you. So
awesome.
it
Actually, yeah.
it opened up a whole host of opportunities of excitement that I had never anticipated. I had to take the cape of being a corporate executive, a
Yeah.
global citizen, and say, I'm going to be my own boss. I'm going to be my own business. I'm going to create business, not only manage a business. And it was also listening to my internal voice. Not easy to leave 30 years of knowing this is what I do to
The
going
comfort
into a
zone.
place of absolutely to going
Yeah.
into I have no idea in from marketing to strategy to when my printer stops working, there's no IT department that I can call. I need to figure it out.
I'm
So
IT, accounts
exacto.
receivable, accounts payable, we're everything, right?
And being okay with that, there's a lot to learn, but not a moment of regret. It took a lot of introspection, a lot of affirmation, but it's about moving forward and feeling proud of what you can accomplish, not only what you have done, but what is still ahead of you. And that is my greatest joy.
I love that. And congratulations, because now you are able to bring all of your corporate experience into executive coaching and being able to help others in their journey. So that's a beautiful thing. And also entrepreneurship. We Latinas, we are known as starting businesses 6 times faster than any other cohort. So we have that fire inside of us. So congratulations to following your voice and on the success of your practice. So before we close things out, Monica, tell me, what is a piece of advice you were given early in your career that turned out to be completely wrong, right? Because oftentimes we're asked, what's the best advice you have received? But listen to the question, what's an advice that you received that went completely wrong early in your career? So we'd love to, and how did you unlearn it as well, right?
Hmm. Yes, I remember to this day that the advice that I was given by my parents, my mama, los colleagues, it was like, you work hard and success will follow, and people will notice you, and you work hard and promotions will come. That was such an incomplete picture of the world. That's ticket for entry. That's not just do this. It's like there's nothing else that I needed to do, just to work hard. That's not just. The just is the problematic part. You just do that, and it like I was told, Monica is always there like an ant, como una hormiguita, trabajando duro. Well, if I kept working as an ant, I wouldn't have left the space of el hormiguero, the ant colony. So if I wanted to do more, I needed to get outside of el hormiguero. Being an ant in mi hormiguero, it was not going to give me what I aspired to. Nobody told me anything about networking or allies or sponsors. Those were not words that were used. I'm a first generation professional at the extent that I have traveled in my career path. So I didn't have anybody around the table telling me this is what you need. Many other people did. I did not. But that is a piece of advice, very culturally dated, that it was not enough, not sufficient. We need way more than that. We need
Right.
others, we need tribes, we need to connect, we need to share what with others what we are doing. Otherwise, people will not necessarily, who need to know, will not necessarily know enough about us and about ourselves.
Yes, and that's super powerful because let me tell you something, Monica. As of today, I still hear a lot of people telling other people, just work hard, just work hard. And you're absolutely right. This connotation of the just word being, what takes everything out of context, because it's not a given. that if you just work hard, things
Yeah.
are going to happen for you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's a powerful advice for you to follow. Many of you are in mid careers, early careers, so just work hard, but again, try to bring into the equation that you need sponsors. Networking is critical. Networking is not only for when you want to achieve something or get a new job. Networking is a key component of our
Mm-hmm.
professional lives
Mm-hmm.
since day one. So Monica, I want to thank you so much. I know you're super busy. I know you're about to jump into another call, but please tell the audience where they can reach out to you, where to learn more about your business and your executive coaching practice.
Excellent, excellent. And I want to appreciate the opportunity of being here with you, Lisette. You are a trusted colleague that I am
Mm,
proud to call now my friend. And
mm,
I learn from you every single day. I am part of your tribe, and I
mm,
appreciate that.
mm.
So thank you to you and to the people listening. What I would say, if there's any way in which I can be of support, please go to my website, monicadiaz.net, monicadiaz.net. And you can send me emails, you can connect, you can see more of what I'm doing. And hey, supporting each other. And as Lisette likes to say, making sure that we have radical collaboration amongst Latinas is
Yes,
imperative. So we are
yes.
here for you. We are here to do that together because it's not just working hard, it's not going to get us to where we want to be.
Exactly. It is radical collaboration. And I love that, Monica. And I really appreciate also your friendship, your support. We also collaborate in so many different spaces. So, and we've only met each other for a year and a
A
half or so.
year. Yeah.
And there you go, people. This is the power of connections, of radical collaboration. So,
Yes.
thank you so much. Thank you for everyone for taking the time, investing in yourself, and having this cafecito break. Don't forget to visit United Latinas webpage to learn more about our Women's Month conference happening in Boston in person on March 28th. We look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you so much, Monica. Thank you for everything.
Un
And
abrazo.
you all have a good rest of your day.